Plant the emotional seed. Fear isn't just an occasional discomfort. It's a full-time, silent killer of potential. It's the invisible wall between the life you have and the life you want. And that's exactly why we're starting this video not with slow introductions or long-winded theory, but with one blunt truth. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. Now, pause. Let that land. Because right now, as you're watching this, fear is controlling parts of your life you may not even be fully aware of. It's in the job you didn't apply for, the conversation you avoided, the risks you never took, the dreams you quietly buried. That's what makes fear dangerous. It hides. It pretends to protect you, but all it's really doing is caging you. Emotional connection. Show relatable scenarios. You don't need to be jumping out of planes to feel fear. In fact, most of the time, the fears that run our lives are invisible. The fear of being judged, the fear of failing publicly, the fear of being rejected by a person, a job, or a group, the fear of not being good enough, the fear of starting, because what if you're not ready? Imagine this. You're about to give a presentation. Your hands are sweating, your mouth dries up, your thoughts begin to scramble. Your brain screams, "What if I mess up? What if they laugh? What if I freeze?" That's not a rational voice. That's fear. Or maybe you've been sitting on an idea for months, a business, a podcast, a career change. You keep researching, planning, waiting for the right time. But deep down, you're not waiting for a better moment. You're waiting for fear to go away. And that's the trap. Because fear doesn't go away on its own. You have to destroy it. Create the stakes. Show the cost of inaction. Let's get brutally honest. If you don't learn how to destroy fear, here's what happens. You'll keep shrinking to fit into environments where you should be leading. You'll keep saying no to opportunities because comfort feels safer than courage. Years will pass and nothing changes. Your potential becomes a memory instead of a legacy. Because fear doesn't just steal your confidence, it steals time, and you never get that time back. People don't regret failing. They regret not trying. They regret letting fear dictate their choices. So the cost of fear isn't just discomfort, it's regret. It's missing out on your life while you're still alive. Promise transformation, the hooked curiosity. But here's the shift, and it's the reason you're here. Fear is not permanent, and it's not part of your personality. It's a pattern, a habit, one you can break. You can rewire your relationship to fear, and when you do, fear becomes a signal to move forward, not pull back. You start chasing goals that scare you and winning. You become someone who acts despite fear, someone who becomes unshakable. That's what this video is about. Not just feeling a bit braver for 5 minutes, but permanently changing how you respond to fear, making fear irrelevant to your decisions. Because confidence doesn't come from being fearless. It comes from doing things while afraid and realizing you can survive it. Reframe fear as a challenge to be conquered. So here's a thought. What if fear wasn't your enemy, but your test? What if every fear was an arrow pointing to your next breakthrough? Think about it. The things you're most afraid of are usually the things you most need to do. Start the business, speak your truth, walk away, take the leap, apply anyway, love fully, fail publicly, reinvent yourself. Fear shows up right before growth. That's why so many people stop. They think fear means danger, but in reality, it means this matters. So if you're afraid, it's a sign you're on the right path. Drop the mission statement. By the end of this video, you'll have a 3-step process that makes fear smaller, makes your actions bolder, and puts you back in control. No fluff, no toxic positivity, just a simple, practical way to destroy fear, not once, but for good. Because if you can learn to move through fear, there's almost nothing you can't do. You won't need to wait for permission or motivation or validation. You'll be able to look fear in the face and say, "I see you, but you don't control me anymore." So before we go deeper, before we break down how to actually destroy fear forever, we need to start by understanding what fear really is. Because you can't fight an enemy you don't understand. And fear is more of a trick than a threat. Let's break it down. Clarity is power. Before you can destroy anything, especially something as slippery and invisible as fear, you have to define it. Because right now, fear might feel like this vague, overwhelming cloud, but the truth is, fear is specific, fear is predictable, and fear follows rules. Once you understand what fear really is, you take away its power. Because clarity is the beginning of control. What is fear? A modern definition. Let's strip it down to the core. Fear is your brain's way of saying, "There's a possible threat. Be ready." That's it. It's a response to perceived danger, not real danger. It's your mind trying to protect you from rejection, failure, embarrassment, or loss. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between standing on a cliff and standing on a stage, between being chased by a predator and sending a risky email. So the same fight or flight mechanism that kept your ancestors alive is now being triggered when your boss calls you in for a meeting. And the worst part? Fear doesn't care if the threat is real. It just reacts. The biological breakdown. Let's look at how it works in your body. You see or imagine something that might be dangerous, could be physical, emotional, or social. Your amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for emotional response, lights up. Adrenaline and cortisol surge through your system. Your heart races, your breathing gets shallow, muscles tighten, logical thinking gets hijacked. Your body prepares to run or fight. That's why you freeze before speaking, why your mind goes blank during conflict, why you procrastinate on life-changing decisions. It's not weakness, it's biology. But understanding that biology, that's the first crack in fear's armor. Types of fear. Not all fears are created equal, and to destroy fear forever, you need to know what kind of fear you're dealing with. Here are the three most common types. 1. Physical fear. This is the oldest kind. It's rooted in survival, injury, death, pain. Think walking through a dark alley, jumping off a high ledge, or a near car crash. Useful? Sometimes, but not the fear that's stopping most people from living fully. Emotional fear. Fear of rejection, embarrassment, abandonment. This is what keeps people from expressing how they feel. It's why you might stay silent when you need to speak or stay in situations that hurt you. Psychological or social fear. Fear of failure, success, judgment, or not being enough. This fear is the invisible prison most people live in. It makes you overthink. It fuels perfectionism. It kills dreams slowly and quietly. Here's the key. Emotional and social fear feel just as real as physical fear, but they're illusions. You're not actually in danger, but your body believes you are. Fear versus danger. Learn the difference. One of the most life-changing distinctions you can make is this. Fear is a feeling. Danger is a fact. Fear says this might go wrong. Danger says this is going wrong. Fear is predictive. It's about the future. Danger is reactive. It's happening now.
Most of us live in fear, not because we're in danger, but because our brain can't stop predicting worst-case scenarios. You're not unsafe. You're just imagining a future where you might be. And that imagined future is keeping you from taking action in the present. Fear's favorite trick? Vagueness. Fear loves to stay vague. It wants you to feel anxious, overwhelmed, paralyzed, without ever being able to name why. Because once you name a fear, it starts to shrink. Think about it. I'm just scared feels huge. But I'm scared of sending this email because I might sound unqualified feels manageable. The moment you name your fear, you realize it's not a monster, it's a message. And that message is often wrong. Fear and the comfort zone. Your brain is wired to keep you alive, not to make you great. That means it favors predictability over possibility. That's the comfort zone. It's not about comfort, it's about control. You stay in patterns you know, even if they're making you miserable, because your brain is more afraid of the unknown than of discomfort. Fear shows up every time you try to leave that zone. When you try to level up. When you try something new. When you break routine. It's not proof you're doing something wrong. It's proof you're doing something important. Why you must redefine your relationship with fear. Most people treat fear as a stop sign. I feel afraid, so I must not be ready. I feel fear, so I should wait. I feel fear, so I must not be good enough. But if you redefine fear as a green light, as a sign you're growing, stretching, and moving toward your potential, it no longer stops you. You stop seeing fear as the enemy and start seeing it as a compass. Fear points you toward what matters most. Don't kill the fear. Understand it. You don't have to become fearless to move forward. You just have to stop being controlled by fear. And that starts by understanding this. Fear isn't here to destroy you. It's here to test you. You're not broken for feeling afraid. You're human. But once you see fear clearly, once you can name it, separate it from danger, and recognize its patterns, you take away its grip on your choices. This is where destruction begins. Not in fighting fear blindly, but in disarming it through understanding. Expose the lie. Now that you understand what fear really is, it's time to go deeper. Because fear's most powerful weapon isn't intensity, it's deception. Up next, we're going to expose the biggest lie fear tells you and show you how to dismantle it forever. Let's go. The most dangerous thing about fear. Here's something most people never realize. Fear's power isn't in how loud it screams. It's in how convincing it sounds. Because fear doesn't just make you anxious, it lies to you. Subtly, constantly, believably. And the worst part? You've believed those lies. We all have. That's why we stop before we start. Why we hesitate when it matters most. Why we delay, avoid, overthink, and self-sabotage. But once you see fear's lies for what they are, they lose their hold on you. So in this section, we're going to pull back the curtain and expose how fear really works. Fear keeps you safe. This is fear's oldest, most seductive lie. I'm here to protect you. I'm just trying to keep you safe. At first glance, that sounds reasonable, even helpful. But let's dig deeper. Yes, fear did keep us safe once. Thousands of years ago, fear helped our ancestors survive real threats: wild animals, starvation, tribal conflict. Fear was a life-saving system. But today, fear still reacts to anything unfamiliar as if it's life-threatening. So when you stand up to speak, share your story online, launch a new business idea, set a boundary, or apply for something out of your comfort zone, your brain sounds the same alarm as if you're in mortal danger. Why? Because it doesn't know the difference between risking your life and risking your ego. Your nervous system is running ancient software in a modern world. Fear says don't go there, but what it really means is, I've never been there before. You're not ready. This one's personal and sneaky. It shows up as, let me just wait a little longer. I need to learn more before I try. Once I feel more confident, then I'll go. Sounds logical, right? But here's the truth. You will never feel 100% ready to do something you've never done before. That's not how growth works. Readiness is not a feeling. It's a decision. People who succeed don't feel ready. They move before they feel ready. And through action, they create the confidence they were waiting for. Fear tells you to wait. Courage tells you to begin. Fear is truth. Fear has one more trick up its sleeve. It disguises itself as truth. When fear speaks, it doesn't say, "You might fail." It says, "You will fail." It doesn't say, "They might laugh at you." It says, "Everyone will laugh at you." And worse, it pretends that it knows something you don't. It becomes a voice of authority in your head. But here's the truth. Fear isn't a prophet. It's a guess. It's not a fact. It's a feeling. And feelings are not always accurate. In fact, fear is almost always wrong about what happens next. Think about this. How many times have you feared something and it never even happened? That conversation you thought would end horribly? It went fine. That risk you thought would destroy you. You learned and leveled up. That thing you avoided for months took you 15 minutes to finish once you started. Fear is almost never aligned with reality. It predicts pain, but delivers paralysis. Proof your past versus fear's track record. Let's talk evidence. Look back at the fears that held you back. How many of them were actually true? How many rejections truly defined your worth? Failures actually destroyed you. Risks turned out to be unmanageable. Fear has a terrible track record, but we still trust it. Why? Because fear sounds like you. It uses your voice, your memories, your insecurities. It feels familiar. But familiarity is not the same as truth. Just because it sounds like you doesn't mean it's for you. Fear's real agenda. So what does fear really want? It doesn't want to destroy you. It wants to protect you, but it does it through control. Fear's goal is to keep you alive, not fulfilled. To keep you safe, not successful. That's why it's okay with you staying stuck. That's why it whispers, "Let's just stay here. Let's not rock the boat." Fear wants familiarity, not freedom. And the longer you listen, the smaller your world becomes. The shift. Stop believing the lie. Here's where things change. You don't need to fight fear. You need to see it clearly. Once you recognize the lie, you no longer obey it. You can hear it and move anyway. That's courage. Courage is not, "I have no fear." It's, "I hear the lie, and I choose action anyway." Mantra to break the lie. Let this become your mindset. Fear is not truth. Fear is a test. I don't need to feel safe. I need to stay awake. Every time fear speaks, ask, is this protecting me or preventing me? Is this based on fact or feeling? What would I do right now if I didn't believe this voice? That's how you start to reclaim your power. You've been listening to a liar. Fear has lied to you your entire life. And the only reason it still controls you is because you haven't questioned the lie. Until now. Now you see it. And once you see the lie, you can't unsee it. Now you're ready to fight back. Not with force, with clarity, strategy, and action. And that's what we're getting into next. This is where everything changes. From theory to practice. Let's turn your fear into your fuel. From theory to tools. Now that you understand what fear is, and more importantly, what it is.
Motivational isn't it's time to take action. You're no longer going to try to cope with fear. You're going to break it, consciously, systematically, and permanently. That's what this 3-step method is all about. Not a motivational boost, not a temporary fix, but a repeatable, reliable strategy you can use for the rest of your life. Let's dive in. Name it. Fear thrives in vagueness. Clarity kills it. Most fear is not real danger. It's just a fog, a shadow, a vague unease that hovers in your mind. The first step in destroying it is to bring it into the light. Here's what to do. Name the fear in one sentence. Be painfully specific. For example, I'm afraid to post online because people might judge me. I'm afraid to start this business because I might fail and embarrass myself. I'm afraid to ask for help because it will make me look weak. Once you've named it, ask this: is this fear a prediction or a fact? In 90% of cases, the answer will be, it's just a prediction. And guess what? Predictions can be challenged. Facts can't. Now you're not wrestling with a ghost. You're dealing with a sentence you can disprove. Bonus exercise. Write your fear on paper and finish the sentence. The worst thing that could realistically happen is... Now answer this. If that happened, could I survive it? You'll usually realize that even the worst case, it's survivable and probably unlikely. Flip it. Fear is not a stop sign. It's a compass. Most people run from fear, but high performers use it. They've trained themselves to reframe fear as a signal, not a threat. Here's the reframe. If it scares me and it won't kill me, it's probably the exact thing I need to do. Fear is a spotlight. It shows you where growth lives. Instead of asking, what if this goes wrong? Ask, what if this goes right? Your brain defaults to negative outcomes. That's biology. But with practice, you can train your mind to imagine positive possibilities just as vividly. Try this. For every fear you write, create the equal and opposite opportunity. Example: fear, if I speak up in this meeting, I might say something dumb. Flip, if I speak up, I might say something brilliant and finally get noticed. See the difference? Fear is rooted in your imagination. So is potential. Choose which one you focus on. Face it, in microdoses. The fear you don't face becomes your limit. This is where transformation happens. Once you've named the fear and flipped the story, you have to take action. But here's the key. You don't need to leap. You just need to step. Too many people think courage means diving off a cliff. It doesn't. It means taking the next small, meaningful action while still afraid. This is called exposure, and it's a psychological superpower. When you gradually expose yourself to what scares you in small doses, you teach your brain, this is safe. I can handle this. The world didn't end. And with each repetition, the fear shrinks. Your threshold expands. Example, let's say you're afraid of speaking on camera. Here's a fear-facing progression. Record a 30-second video just for yourself. Then record one and send it to a close friend. Then post one to your private story. Then to your main feed. Then go live for 1 minute. Then for 5 minutes. Each step teaches your brain this fear is beatable. Action builds confidence, not mindset, not meditation. Movement is the medicine. Face one small fear today. Here's the challenge for you, right now. Do one thing that scares you today. Nothing reckless, just one thing that makes your heart beat faster. Speak your mind. Hit publish. Ask for help. Make the call. Apply for the thing. And don't wait for the fear to go away. Go with it, through it, despite it. That's how you teach your mind. Fear doesn't own me anymore. Putting it all together. Let's review the full framework. Step 1. Name it. Identify your fear clearly. Break the vagueness, expose the lie. Step 2. Flip it. Reframe fear as guidance. Ask what's possible if it goes right. Step 3. Face it. Take small, consistent action. Build a tolerance. Train your courage. This framework isn't theory, it's a habit. The more you use it, the less power fear has. Because fear isn't something you conquer once, it's something you outgrow over time. And this is the path. Why this works? Let's pause for a second. Why does this 3-step method work so well? Because it does what fear hates. Clarity takes away its fog. Reframing interrupts its story. Action destroys its illusion. Fear survives on inaction, hesitation, and silence. But when you move, when you step forward while afraid, you break the loop. You prove to yourself that fear doesn't get to be the boss anymore. And every time you do that, even in the smallest way, you become stronger, braver, freer. Courage is a muscle. Here's the truth no one tells you. You'll probably always feel fear, but you don't have to live by it. Fear isn't a signal to stop, it's a call to lead. You're not here to be fearless, you're here to become someone who moves anyway. One step, one action, one truth at a time. The warrior mindset. So now you've got the method, but how do you lock it in? How do you make fearless action part of your identity? In the next part, we'll build your warrior mindset, so fear isn't just something you manage, it becomes something you master. From strategy to identity. At this point, you know the mechanics of fear. You've seen how it lies. You've learned the 3-step method to destroy it. But here's the truth. Tactics without identity will always fail. You can name your fear, you can reframe it, you can even face it. But if you still see yourself as a fearful person, you'll keep slipping back. That's why this part is so important. Because to destroy fear forever, you need to upgrade your identity. You need to become the kind of person who faces fear by default. Not someone who occasionally acts brave, but someone who lives with unshakable courage. That's the warrior mindset.
You're not here to be fearless. You're here to become someone who moves anyway. One step, one action, one truth at a time. The warrior mindset. So now you've got the method, but how do you lock it in? How do you make fearless action part of your identity? In the next part, we'll build your warrior mindset, so fear isn't just something you manage, it becomes something you master. From strategy to identity. At this point, you know the mechanics of fear. You've seen how it lies. You've learned the 3-step method to destroy it. But here's the truth. Tactics without identity will always fail. You can name your fear. You can reframe it. You can even face it. But if you still see yourself as a fearful person, you'll keep slipping back. That's why this part is so important. Because to destroy fear forever, you need to upgrade your identity. You need to become the kind of person who faces fear by default. Not someone who occasionally acts brave, but someone who lives with unshakable courage. That's the warrior's mindset. What is the warrior's mindset? The warrior's mindset doesn't mean you're fearless. It means you act from principle, not emotion. Here's the mindset. I don't wait for fear to go away. I move with it. Fear does not dictate my choices. I do. A warrior doesn't eliminate fear. They learn to use it. They treat it like a sparring partner, not a threat. A signal to prepare, not a reason to retreat. Identity equals behavior. You act according to who you believe you are. If you believe, I'm anxious, I always overthink, I'm not confident, then fear will run your life. But if you believe, I do hard things, I lead myself through fear, I'm built for growth, then fear becomes fuel. That's not lying to yourself. That's redefining yourself based on who you want to be, not who fear tells you you are. Reprogramming the identity loop. Here's how most people operate. I feel fear, so I hesitate. So I don't take action. So I reinforce the belief, I'm afraid. That's a loop, and most people live there for decades. But you can flip the script. I feel fear, but I act anyway. I survive. I build evidence. I reinforce the belief, I'm courageous. Do that enough times, courage becomes your new default. Adopt the warrior's internal code. To become someone who destroys fear by instinct, you need an internal code, a philosophy. Here's a mindset you can adopt today. I expect fear. Fear doesn't mean I'm weak. It means I'm alive. If it's there, I welcome it. If it's loud, I'm on the right path. I move toward it. If I fear it, I face it. Not recklessly, but intentionally. What I run from grows. What I face shrinks. I act before I feel ready. I don't wait for confidence. I act with uncertainty. And in that action, I earn the clarity I was waiting for. I build courage like a muscle. Small acts every day. Not for applause, not for proof, just because this is who I am. Anchor the identity. You need a phrase, something simple to say to yourself in the moment fear hits. A command that snaps you back into control. Here are a few powerful examples. This is fear. That means go. Feel it. Do it anyway. I lead, fear follows. Choose one. Own it. Use it when fear shows up. Say it out loud if you have to. Whisper it if you must, but speak it. Claim it. This is your warrior code. Not just words, a switch. Visualize the warrior. Close your eyes for a second. Seriously. Picture the strongest, most courageous version of yourself. What are they wearing? How do they move? How do they speak? What decisions do they make? What do they say to fear? That version of you, that's not a fantasy. That's your future self. And every time you act from courage instead of fear, you're stepping closer to becoming them. You don't fake it till you make it. You act it until you become it. Live the identity daily. Here's how to lock it in. Daily fear facing. One small challenge every day. Doesn't have to be huge, just uncomfortable. Reinforce the wins. Write down one fear you overcame each night. Evidence matters. Declare your identity. Every morning say who you are. I am someone who does hard things. I face fear. I don't wait. I lead. Your identity is built in private, through repetition, through action, through intention. Fear ends where the warrior begins. The truth is, fear will always whisper. But now, you whisper back louder, because the warrior inside you isn't waiting for ideal conditions. You're not waiting for fear to be silent. You're not waiting for more time, more proof, more permission. You've already decided. I don't follow fear. I lead myself. And that's what destroys it. Not once, but forever. The challenge and call to action. Now you have the mindset, the method, the truth. All that's left is your next move. In the final section, I'll give you a direct challenge, and if you take it seriously, it'll change everything. Let's finish this strong. You know enough. Now, act. You've made it through the full journey. You've seen how fear works. You understand the 3-step method to break it. You've learned how to adopt the mindset of someone who uses fear, not someone controlled by it. Now, there's only one thing left: action. Because nothing you've just learned matters if you don't do something with it. Every single person watching this video has a moment of choice. Keep thinking or start doing. Keep researching or start becoming. Keep hoping or start leading. That choice, your next step, is the real battle, and it's time to win it. One bold move today. Let me give it to you straight. Your final challenge is this: face one real fear today. It doesn't need to be life-threatening. It doesn't have to impress anyone, but it has to scare you just enough to make you hesitate, and you must do it anyway. This is how you destroy fear permanently, not by waiting for it to disappear, but by proving through action that it no longer controls you. Some examples. Speak your mind in that meeting you usually stay silent in. Start the creative project you keep putting off. Hit publish on the thing you're scared to share. Apologize. Ask for help. Set a boundary. Apply for the opportunity you keep talking yourself out of. The key? It should be uncomfortable. It should make you feel resistance. That's the signal you've picked the right fear to confront. Why this challenge matters. Most people wait for fear to disappear before they act. But fear doesn't fade on its own. Action is what shrinks it. You can read all the books, watch all the motivational content, meditate, journal. But if you're not moving through fear in the real world, it still owns you. You don't overcome fear by learning more. You overcome it by doing more. One bold move tells your brain, I don't follow fear anymore. I lead. This is how you break the mental habit of hesitation. Identity is built through action. Everything you do is a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. If you want to become someone who's brave, decisive, confident, you don't wait to feel brave. You take a small, bold action. You survive. You realize fear was lying, and your identity begins to shift. Each time you do that, you send a message to your nervous system. Fear shows up, and I still move. That's just who I am now. Confidence is not a gift. It's a skill built in real time. Write this down. To lock this in, here's a simple 3-step prompt to journal right now. What fear is holding me back this week? Be honest, name it. What is one small step I could take toward that fear today? Something you can do in 5 to 15 minutes max. What would I gain if I stopped obeying that fear? Picture the version of you on the other side of that decision. This short exercise does 3 things. It brings clarity to the fear. It creates an action plan. It connects you to your why. That's how you build momentum. The real win is in the discomfort. Let's be honest, comfort never made anyone stronger. Growth never happens when things are easy. It happens when you enter the fire.
Identify one thing that scares you, small or big. Break it into one small, bold step. Schedule it. Do it. Celebrate it. Repeat that cycle 52 times a year. Imagine how much stronger, more confident, and more resilient you'll be a year from now. It's not the size of your actions, it's the consistency that builds identity. Build your courage infrastructure. Want to know what makes the biggest difference between someone who follows through and someone who doesn't? Environment. Even the most determined person can fall apart in an environment that reinforces fear and safety. So what does a fearless environment look like? Surround yourself with courage-driven people. Hang out with people who take action, not just talk about it. Seek out mentors who've done what scares you. Eliminate or minimize toxic voices that feed doubt and fear. Use your space to remind you. Put quotes on your wall that call you out. Set your phone wallpaper to a reminder of your next courageous action. Use alarms or journal prompts that say, "What's one thing I'm afraid to do today?" Make your world encourage bravery. Upgrade your identity. A fearless life is not built on motivation, it's built on identity. Ask yourself, who would I be if I didn't obey fear? Start living as that person now. Try saying this: I am the kind of person who does the thing even when I'm scared. I'm a builder, not a hider. I choose movement over perfection. When you consistently act like that person, guess what? You become that person. Dealing with setbacks without shame. You're gonna mess up. You'll hesitate. You'll avoid. Fear will win around now and then. That's human. But people who build fearless lives do one thing different when they stumble. They don't attach shame to it. Instead of, "I failed again, I'll never change," try, "I paused, that's okay. I know what to do next." Fear wins when it makes you think you've gone backwards. You haven't. As long as you return to the path, you're still moving forward. Forgive yourself quickly. Restart boldly. Stack small wins until they become your standard. Every time you choose boldness, you get a small win. Stack those wins. Keep a log. Journal them. Look back often and say, "I'm not who I was 3 months ago." Those tiny shifts compound over time. Suddenly, speaking up in a meeting isn't scary anymore. Starting something new is your default. Walking away from what doesn't serve you feels obvious. This is how confidence is built. Not by one epic moment, but by 100 ordinary bold moves. Teach others what you're learning. Nothing reinforces your growth like sharing it. When you talk about what you're learning, you internalize it deeper, build your confidence, inspire others, create accountability. So tell your story, even if it's not perfect, even if you're still figuring it out. Say, "I used to run from fear. Now I chase what scares me. Here's how I stepped through fear this week. If I can do it scared, so can you." Sharing makes your transformation real for you and others. This is just the beginning. You came here to destroy fear forever. But the truth is, fear doesn't need to be destroyed. It needs to be dethroned. You now know how to take the crown off fear's head and put it on your own. You've learned how to understand fear, reframe it, act through it, lead yourself, sustain that bravery long term. Now, it's time to live that. Not for one day, but for every day forward. The fearless life isn't loud. It's not flashy. It's quiet, consistent, and powerful. It's built moment by moment, step by step, decision by decision. And the next decision is yours. What will you do this week? Write it down, say it out loud, do it scared. Then do it again. This is how you destroy fear's power, not once, but for life. You've opened the door, now walk through it. You've come a long way. You've gone from understanding fear to challenging it, to taking action against it, to rewiring your mind for courage, to building a fearless rhythm in your daily life. Now we arrive at the final piece: living fully as your fearless self. This is where everything shifts, because it's no longer about fighting fear. It's about embodying the version of you who doesn't let fear choose anymore. You don't just deal with fear. You become the kind of person for whom fear is no longer a threat. Let's break down exactly how to do that for life. Reclaim your personal power. Fear thrives when you feel powerless, like life is happening to you. But fearless people don't live that way. They move from a different place, a place of ownership, intention, responsibility, and creative power. The fearless self doesn't say, "I can't." They ask, "What can I create, choose, or change right now?" Instead of, "What if it goes wrong?" they say, "What if it goes right? What if I fail? What do I learn if I do? What if I'm not ready?" Ready is a decision, not a feeling. Living as your fearless self means reclaiming your ability to choose, even when things are hard, especially when things are uncertain. Build identity-based confidence. Most people chase confidence by waiting to feel brave. But true, lasting confidence comes from identity, not emotion. That's why people who live fearlessly don't try to pump themselves up every day. They act from the belief, "This is just who I am now." So ask yourself, what would my fearless self do here? How does the bold version of me handle this? What would someone who doesn't need to hide say or choose? And then, do that. When your actions align with that identity long enough, the old version of you, the fearful one, fades into memory. You don't fake it, you become it. Drop perfection, embrace evolution. Perfection is fear in disguise. It tells you, don't start until it's flawless. Don't speak until you're 100% sure. Don't move until there's no risk. But your fearless self knows, perfection kills momentum. Action builds mastery. So you choose progress over performance, learning over looking good, growth over safety. You move forward imperfectly because movement is more important than image. Every mistake becomes part of your training. Every setback becomes part of your rise. That's how fearless people grow faster. They don't waste time fearing flaws. Make boldness your default. Living fearlessly means boldness isn't no longer a rare event, it's your norm. That doesn't mean reckless or loud. It means honest, decisive, clear, grounded. It means you say what needs to be said. You take the step no one else is willing to take. You stop waiting for permission. Boldness doesn't always feel good, but it always leads somewhere true. And the more you practice it, the less fear matters. Soon, hesitation feels foreign. Avoidance feels wrong. Courage feels natural. Let your actions speak louder than your fears. People who live fearlessly don't just talk about change, they embody it. They don't just journal about their dreams, they build them. They don't just watch others rise, they rise too. They don't explain themselves, they express themselves. This is the version of you that sets the tone in a room without saying a word, shows up when others shut down, doesn't let fear write the story, they write their own. This is your next evolution. You are no longer the person who overthinks every move. You are the person who takes aligned action and lets that define you. Define success in a fearless way. Redefine what it means to succeed. Most people let fear shape their version of success. I'll be successful when I have no doubt. Success is when I feel safe, secure, certain. But the fearless self knows. Success is when I act in alignment with who I want to become, no matter what it costs. So redefine your metrics. Did I choose growth today over comfort? Did I speak up when I wanted to shrink? Did I take the bold step instead of the safe one? If yes, that's success. Never negotiate with fear again. Living as your fearless self means you stop bargaining with fear. No more, "I'll do it when I feel ready. Just let me fix this first. What if they judge me?" You hear fear's voice and you move anyway. Because you've trained your system to know. Fear is not.
You've built systems, habits, and an identity rooted in courage. But all of that means nothing if you don't act. This is the part where most people pause. They say, "I'll do it when. I'll wait until I feel braver. I need one more week, month, or year." That hesitation, that delay, that's fear, just wearing a different costume. This final part isn't about thinking, reflecting, or preparing. It's about the one thing fear cannot survive: direct action. Let's go. Action is the death of fear. Let's be blunt. Fear thrives in overthinking. It multiplies in silence. It grows when you delay. But the moment you take action, even a small one, fear weakens. Motion kills emotion. Action breaks the loop. So if you're feeling stuck, anxious, frozen, don't wait for clarity. Don't wait for confidence. Don't wait for some magical feeling. Do one thing, even if it's ugly, even if it's small, even if you're trembling. That one move will change your chemistry. And once your body moves, your mind will follow. Start with the hardest, easy step. You don't need to conquer your biggest fear today. You just need to face the next small fear you've been avoiding. That thing you keep saying, "I'll do it tomorrow." It's not the right time. Let me just fix this first. That's the door. That's the path. That's your entry point. So ask yourself, what is the one thing I would do today if I wasn't afraid? Then, don't wait. Do it within 24 hours. Don't over-engineer it. Don't ask 10 people for advice. Just go. Even a clumsy step is more powerful than a perfect plan you never follow. Lean into the discomfort. That's where you grow. If you're feeling scared, uncomfortable, nervous, that's not a problem. That's a sign you're on the edge of transformation. Courage isn't about feeling ready. It's about acting even though you're not. Your brain will scream. Your hands might shake. Your heart will race. Good. That's proof you're in the arena. That's what growth feels like. Don't run from it. Lean into it. Feel it. And move forward anyway. Stop asking, "What if I fail?" Ask, "What if I don't?" Fear will always show you the worst-case scenario. It will say, "What if they laugh? What if you mess up? What if it all goes wrong?" But here's the more dangerous question. What if you never try? What if you live the same year 50 times and call it a life? What if you let fear steal your potential? That's the real risk. That's the real cost. Don't let fear make you settle. You're not here to shrink. You're here to rise. Speak the fear out loud, and then move. Naming your fear takes away its power. Say it out loud. "I'm afraid they'll judge me. I'm afraid I'm not good enough. I'm afraid to be seen." Now, do it anyway. This simple act, naming it, then acting through it, reprograms your nervous system. Each time you do this, your brain learns, "Oh, that didn't kill me. That wasn't as bad as I imagined. I can do this again." And with each repetition, fear loses its grip. Choose progress over pride. Sometimes fear disguises itself as pride or perfectionism. It tells you, "Wait until you can do it flawlessly. Don't post that unless it's polished. Don't show up until you've mastered it." But your fearless version of you doesn't play that game. They choose movement over image. They choose truth over optics. They say, "I'd rather grow than look good. I'd rather be real than be right. I'd rather stumble forward than stand still." That mindset creates momentum, and momentum is fear's worst enemy. Challenge yourself publicly. Private bravery is powerful, but public action is transformational. Why? Because it forces full commitment, no retreat, no hiding. So declare your next bold move. Tell someone what you're going to do. Post it. Share it with your team, your audience, your circle. You'll feel exposed, and that's the point. Accountability increases your courage. Visibility sharpens your integrity. Boldness becomes your brand. Don't just face fear alone. Face it out loud. Reflect, but don't ruminate. After your bold action, take a moment to reflect, but not obsess. Ask, what did I learn? What did I prove to myself? How will I carry this forward? Celebrate the action, not the outcome. Fear will try to twist it. It will say, you didn't do it perfectly. You could have done better. Ignore that voice. You showed up. That's the win. You acted despite fear. That's the transformation. Let that be enough. Then get ready for the next step. Make doing it scared your new normal. If you wait until fear disappears, you'll wait forever. So choose a new standard. I act before I feel ready. I move even when I'm nervous. I don't need to kill fear. I just need to outwalk it. Make doing it scared your badge of honor. And as you repeat this process over and over, you'll notice something powerful. The fear shrinks. The confidence builds. The vision expands. And you become someone you're proud of. What's your fear move today? Let's make this real.
Right now, name the one bold thing you've been avoiding, the one fear that's been holding you hostage. Then decide, what will you do about it in the next 24 hours? Say it, write it, share it, and then act. Because you've reached the point where information isn't enough. Now it's about transformation. And transformation only happens one way: action through fear. The old you is gone. You've been taught to obey fear, to shrink, to wait, to hide. But not anymore. You've seen through the illusion. You've reclaimed your voice. You've remembered your power. Now go live like it. Your fearless life begins the moment you stop negotiating with fear and start moving in spite of it. Fearless forever, making courage a way of life. You've made it through the internal work. You've faced the voice of fear. You've taken bold action, and you've stepped into a new version of yourself. But here's the truth that few talk about. Destroying fear isn't a one-time event. It's a continuous way of living. It's not about eliminating fear forever. It's about creating a system, a rhythm, and a lifestyle that makes fear powerless over time. This final part is about sustaining your fearlessness. Because being fearless isn't something you achieve once. It's something you become and remain. Let's talk about how to make courage your default for life. Fear comes back, but you come back stronger. Don't be fooled. Fear doesn't vanish forever. It evolves. Every new level of growth, visibility, or impact comes with new fear. Fear of being seen. Fear of judgment at scale. Fear of leading others. Fear of losing what you've built. This isn't failure. It's proof you're expanding. So what changes? You do. The difference isn't in the absence of fear. It's in your response to it. You've trained your nervous system. You've built your tools. You've proven to yourself. Even if fear comes back, I don't go backwards. That's how you become fearless forever. Create a system that doesn't rely on emotion. Most people try to be brave when they feel like it, but emotion is unreliable. It fluctuates. That's why the fearless lifestyle is built on systems, not motivation. You need structures that make boldness automatic,
like a morning mindset routine to prime your courage. A weekly fear action list of 3 things you do before you're ready. Regular discomfort training, small challenges to keep your edge sharp. An accountability circle that holds you to bold action. The goal is simple. Don't leave courage to chance. Build it into your calendar, your habits, your identity. Focus on purpose, not performance. One of the quickest ways to fall back into fear is to obsess over performance. Did I look good enough? Was that perfect? Did I sound confident? But your fearless self lives by a different compass. Purpose over polish, impact over image, progress over perfection. Ask yourself, did I stay true to my mission? Did I do what aligned with my values? Did I move even when fear said don't? If yes, then you win every time. This reframe keeps your focus forward, not inward. It keeps fear behind you, not in front of you. Keep raising your standards. Fear is clever. Once you overcome one limit, it'll try to build a new one. The solution? Keep leveling up. Don't get comfortable. Don't settle in the safety zone. Don't stop pushing edges. Every 30 days, ask, where am I holding back again? What have I been tolerating? Where has fear crept in quietly? Then take one action to raise the bar again. Comfort is the enemy of fearless living. Stretch, push, expand. The stronger your standards, the weaker your fears become. Guard your environment like a warrior. Fear is contagious. If you surround yourself with people who constantly shrink, doubt, and hesitate, that energy rubs off on you. But so does courage. Make your environment a fearless zone. Spend time with action takers. Follow creators who speak truth, not just hype. Cut down on noise that feeds insecurity. Build a circle that dares you to be bold. You become like the people you're around most. So choose people who remind you, fear isn't the boss. You are.